Today, we're going to learn how actors in the television and film industry handle rejection on a daily basis. We'll get into it after I hit this music. Joining me this week is my good friend. You might have seen him in my favorite Netflix show, Obliterated, which I wish they would have renewed, but he was one of the Russian mob people who got killed, unfortunately. Daniel Moen. Daniel, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you very much for having me.
So if you haven't heard Daniel's story, I spoke to you last year. It's episode 39, when the title is called When You're the Problem, Not the Bully. Daniel, when you were younger, you struggled with confidence. How did you get enough confidence to step into the acting world?
Oh, now that. How did I get the confidence? Technically, there's a lot of different factors for me. Some of them are a lot heavier than others.
Okay.
Always wanted to be an actor, and getting the confidence was in part getting myself put together correctly. Like in your last episode, I was a mess until I was 25. Uh, but a lot of that had to do with getting, the right exercise, getting myself in a good mental state. But the two biggest main driving factors, sorry to start your episode so heavy. The day that I decided I'm going to pull myself through, fully into acting, was the day that my dad passed away.
Man.
And, I know, heavy as heck, but it's one of those things of.
So
Go ahead.
you had, so that was the day you decided, hey, I'm going to be an actor. You're down in the dumps, no confidence still.
And it was a mixture of down in the dumps, but realizing that he was able to follow his dream and do what he wanted. And so at this point, I have my life to live. I'm going to follow my dream. And that means I'll have to do some scary stuff. But I've survived some scarier stuff. It's amazing when you realize getting on stage, you go, oh, they're here to watch me. And I can actually make them laugh. Boom. Wonderful confidence booster.
So I'm going to fast forward a little bit because we're not going to get too far into that part of the story. I'm sure it sounds pretty good, but what was it like trying out for a part for the very first time?
Oh. Kind of depends on which level you're talking about. Very, very first role I ever wanted to try out for was for a student film. And it was intimidating because it was something very, very new. It was at a college campus. It could have been a little overwhelming, to be honest. And then the next level up, sort of the same thing. Like you feel like, oh, I did student films, I'm doing great. Feature film, you say, and suddenly the nerves, they return.
Yeah.
But
Did you book your first audition with that student film?
that's a funny thing. No, very first student film I auditioned for, they said, hey, do a little more work getting your acting good for camera, because I had done so many school plays and small theater productions beforehand. They said, get your acting good for camera, we'll go from there. And then the next time they said,
Well,
hey.
this was a student project. They wanted you to get better at being on camera. It's a student project.
It is, but I didn't quite hit what they wanted. The second time I also didn't get it, but that was because I was too tall. One of those weird secrets of film, they want their actors to roughly match height. And so even though my performance was so much better, still too tall.
Yeah, I've at Eric the Trainer's gym, I've met quite a few actors. We're both, that's how we met, through Eric the Trainer. And I noticed I'm 6'2". You're like 20 feet tall. People gotta be around like 5'10", 5'11". They come up to my shoulder. So I realized these actors are small, but they look so much bigger on TV. So getting denied for a role because of your height, How many times has that happened to you?
Oh, times that I know that's the reason why? A fair amount. A lot of student films were like that. Some bigger productions that were kind enough to contact me and let me know why were like that. Technically, I auditioned for a role on Monarch, the Apple TV series. And I was lucky enough to have a connection that was able to keep an eye on casting. And they said there were two reasons I missed out. One, because I was too tall, and two, because an A-lister's son took the role.
So,
Yeah.
okay. I'm not sure how to say that. So A-lister's son took the role. So were they better at does that mean that they're better at acting than you? Is that I mean, I guess
Yeah.
is that I was going through your thought process? Are they better at acting?
Honestly, this is one of those tips to survive in the film industry and deal with rejection. It's realizing that if the only reason you lost out is because an A-lister or someone they're related to got it, it means your skill level is great. It
Okay.
means you beat out the rest. It's just this one little guy had the secret extra sauce, got it above you. So keep going.
So I guess that takes a little sting off the burn a bit.
Or it could make
So
it. Sorry, go ahead.
no, so do you ever get like upset at your physical appearance? Like I'm just too tall. I wish I wasn't tall. I mean obviously you can't change this.
It would be more my weight that I would get upset with. Uh,
Okay.
like height, yeah, it's a high barrier, it's whatever. But actors like Dave Bautista exist. Actors like Liam Neeson is taller than the average star, and it is frustrating. It is frustrating to know like I was this close but tall. But
Let's
I
talk
also
about
know.
your Let's talk about
Sorry,
your
go
weight
ahead.
for a second. Sorry. So I know Daniel for gosh, like 3 or 4 years now, and you've like totally transformed your appearance. You don't look like the same drama llama when I first met you on ETT Live. I mean, you've worked really hard. Was there like somebody in the film industry saying, "Hey, Daniel, you're too big for this role"? Did you get a lot of that back at you, which kinda encouraged you to drop the weight? Or was it like, "I'm doing it for my health, not because they're telling me I need to lose weight to get these roles?"
It was honestly a mix of both. I it started as just wanted to, get healthy and, lose some amount of weight, look somewhat better. Uh, the funny thing is, there might have been some roles I lost at because I was too beefy, let's call it, to be nice. But there was actually one Dolph Lundgren's stunt double, a guy named Tony Messenger. Worked with him on a project. We got along, and he said, "Hey, man, if you get down to 280 pounds, I got work for you." So suddenly, I had a goal, and suddenly, that's the other part. It's finding a way to make it positive or to make it motivating. When you get
Okay.
rejected, you go, "Oh, let's get there instead."
Was that the first time, though, you got rejected by your weight? Was there a time before that, and then you kinda took that a little bit more personal, like it hurt you being told that?
Mm, there hasn't. That's the thing with a lot of auditions. If you found out why you get it, it is an absolute rarity. Very often, very often the answer you get for auditions on why you didn't get it is silence. You don't find out, so you just have to guess. The only ones that might have ever said that were student films or more indie films, and very very few of them said, your acting's great, but your weight's off. It was always either height or, oh, you do stunts? Please also be on our project.
Yeah. So, we got the physical appearance off. I mean, not off. We got the physical appearance covered here. Let's talk about your skill as becoming an actor. What was it like? I guess I should say your first time hearing No was a college student film. What was it like being told by like a major network or film industry is saying, Daniel, you kind of suck. Did you, to be blunt, like,
Right.
what was that like?
Actually, if if you have time for a story, there's a very recent
Yeah, we got
occurrence.
time. Yes.
Okay. So I can't say what production, I can't say what names. All I can say is that there was a feature film I was in, or at least that I was part of. I had a pretty pivotal role that made me a principal actor. No lines, but when I was on set those days, I was ecstatic. I was happy. I was big. I was boisterous because I love being on set. And I got this role that got me to be a principal, and all the people were cool and amazing. And I recently learned they had to do reshoots for a scene that I might have been in. And unfortunately, they didn't invite me back for those reshoots. And that first part kind of, it didn't feel good, but there's any number of reasons why they might not have, like, maybe they don't need to have my specific character or yada da 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 da. And then one of the people that was on production reached out to me, and they let me know the truth, which was, as much as they specifically wanted to bring me back on, wanted to invite me back for reshoots, the majority of production, they said, he was too big, man. He was too boisterous. Like, his set etiquette felt like he was, way too much. And oh, that one kind of hurt.
Yeah, I can tell in your face, you can still see the pain yet.
And it's part of it is something that I had tried to keep in mind, like, don't let that joy spill out so much that it starts to annoy production, or and the thing is, I thought I'd rein it back. I thought for that
Mhm.
production I was doing better. But I had the stereotypical big man problem of my heart was so full of joy, it was going out and starting to get on everyone's nerves. But the silver lining, which, if you're ever dealing with rejection in any form, finding the silver lining is key.
Yes.
This person reached out. The fact that they said anything is enormous. Again, if they didn't care or if they wanted me to fail, they'd say nothing. They wouldn't contact me again. I'd never even be a thought in their mind. But the fact they came in and said, "Hey, I know you are an amazing person. I wanted to bring you back. Here's a thing to work on," is, yeah, that's, the news stung, but the fact that they cared enough and wanted to see me succeed enough to actually reach out and say, "Hey, do this," it dulled the sting, and it gave
Yeah.
me something to focus on.
Yeah, and you're 100% right because they might now have you in mind for future projects. They just want you to work on something, which I think is great. It's no different from me teaching kids martial arts. Hey, buddy, you're not quite ready to test for your black belt yet. Let's have you work on this for a while, and then we'll check back up on you. That happens all the time in life, and we tell that to people because we care about people. So the fact that they said that to you, they obviously care about you, and they see something about you that they like. You just get that one little thing you got to fix yet. So
Exactly.
I think that's awesome. That's pretty cool. So now, how do you take that advice and work on it? Because for me, I'm not in that area, so I wouldn't even know where to turn to figure that out.
So a lot of it is, I still book some work, even though the industry is, to be blunt, in turmoil. I've recently worked a lot of short film projects. There's a huge competition happening here in Albuquerque, uh, and I've been on a few projects for it. And a lot of that is, you know, find projects that aren't as high stakes or aren't as, if you screw up here, your career is gone.
Yeah.
Work on them and try to, with the people on set, say, "Hey, how do you feel I'm doing etiquette wise?" And make sure they're people aren't just gonna, "Oh, you're doing great, yeah, totally, and then walk away annoyed. find the lower
Yeah.
stakes stuff that you can actually get the immediate feedback on. And failing that, it's a lot of having that self-awareness.
Okay.
Like not having to ask as much, but keeping it in your mind.
Did you ever, I was gonna say was there, but did you ever experience like a drought where you'd try out for role after role after role and it's just no, 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 no? Like, how do you cope with that mentality of just not getting anything?
So the funny thing is that's almost the entirety of acting. Especially starting out, you're not the common phrase is you'll hear 99 no's before you hear one, we'll have a callback. Not even a yes, a callback. And eh, recognizing, especially in the film industry, that's standard, especially if you're starting out, it's going to be that way. So the way I've learned to deal with it is y- just just push through. It absolutely sucks. Yeah, you're hearing nothing back, and if you hear a no, it's remember they're saying it because they want you to succeed. But often it's all right. I'll there's a short film I know I can get on. Go get on it. Go get some experience while you're waiting for the big stuff to pop. Or heck, if it's so dry, make your own work. Write your own script. Do your own thing.
You just answered my next question. Like, how do you know when to say, okay, maybe this is not for me? Is it kind of like is it kind of like an individual thing? Like, or is there like a standard where it's been 2 years, you haven't landed one job, maybe you should look for a different career?
Oh man, it's very individual, very personal. But Bryan Cranston had an interview where he said the best thing is, if you want to come and try the industry out for a year, move to LA and try to make it big, I'll do you a favor and tell you to stay home now. You the average time for someone in the film industry to go from beginning to having a character with enough lines to match as a union role is minimum 10 years. So the fact that I've done it in 7 is the fast track.
Yeah. I've heard people in your industry, and this is coming from people who haven't really booked a job. They would say, well, that person just got lucky. It's not about skill because I'm more skillful than that person. Is there really any truth to what's being said there?
Yes, in some ways.
Okay.
A lot of the film industry is networking. I've heard it compared to high school cliques because it can get there. It can get like that. But certain areas more so than others, like especially in stunt performance. Let me put it to you this way. Let's say you've learned how to do high falls, you've trained super duper hard, and you have a group of people you know and trust to be able to like get the air mat filled up just right to make sure the scaffolding is done just right. But you have this other guy who, on their resume, claims to have close to the same experience level or a little more, but you don't know them. Would you trust that new guy on your team, or would you hire the people you know have kept you safe?
Hire the people that I know.
And
So
that's the thing. That's why every person in the film industry is network, network, network.
that
Get
makes a lot of
yourself,
sense because, like, you watch the Adam Sandler movies or like Seth Rogen, it's always the same group of actors.
yeah.
Pretty much, it's always the same group of actors.
And
So,
that's
and
that's the other part.
I noticed with
Sorry,
you,
go ahead.
like, no, a few. Now, this is recorded in May. This comes out like in end of June and July. But a few months ago, you invited me to sit in and watch your little production that you're writing. I noticed you have a great group of actors that are all kind of like that's kind of like your little network of people. Are you guys all kind of collaborating together to make own content, shoot your own stuff, and just put it out there?
Some of it, yes. A lot of these people are just I met them on a film set before, and kept that strong connection. But there are some folks in that group who they alongside being an actor, they might be a producer, they might be an agent, they might have a connection that would go, "Oh, that is actually a good fun movie. I'd like to put some funding towards it." And that's when it turns into suddenly you're making your own work.
So
Is
is there
you
like sorry about that. Go ahead, finish it up. My bad.
it's all right. Not go for it. I lost it. It's okay.
Okay. That's all right. My mind goes 100 miles an hour sometimes, so something popped up right away. Is there like a job list that you can go up and search for acting jobs, or is it purely kind of like it's your network of people who you know is how you find these jobs?
So there are casting websites. The big two are Casting Networks and Actors Access. Anyone in the industry, they'll say if you don't have Actors Access, you are not in the acting industry. And those do a great job of helping you find jobs or find work. But the more effective route is still going to be networking. Uh, you'll find the jobs that become public on Actors Access, they've already gone through like their short list, the people they know they can trust to get stuff done. Their nearby list, locals and of SAG level, and then the nearby non-union level. By the time it reaches what you can publicly see, they've already cast the majority of everything. If not, they've already cast everything and it never goes public. So
Wow.
it's it can be very rough, and that's why you get yourself an agent because they get access to it before it reaches public. But in order to get an agent, got a network.
Got a
It's a
network.
very chicken or the egg situation.
So, do you pay for the agents up front, or they get paid when you land a job? How does that all work?
So the big thing, especially for new actors, you do not pay your agent at the start. You do not pay to be any part of their thing. They get a flat 10% from what you make. So when they book you work is when they get paid. There's a lot of
Okay.
scams out there that say, "Oh, if you pay this much money, I'll put you on the front pages of my agency and that will get you more work." And then you hear nothing because they already got their money from you.
Have you ever like how many agents have you had, I guess, so far?
I've had 2. Uh,
Okay.
I've I've applied for, like, 4 agencies total in my time. Actually, technically
You
3,
apply for them. You apply for them. So, do you have to like try out to be accepted?
kind of. A good agency they'll take a look at your work, like, see if you've got a resume, if you've got a reel, see what you've done, see how hard you worked to get it, and then they'll either go, "Okay, I would like to offer you a part of my agency," or they'll say, "Hey, work on blank and talk to me later on." So it's kind of like a job interview in a way.
Okay. So, how do you handle rejection from an agency the first time? Because to me, that would be like a really low blow because it's like they're they are who I need to make it in this industry, and they already said no to me. Like, what's
So
your thought
that's
process the first time hearing that?
the very first time I heard a no. Admittedly, I was inflated ego at the time, but I was pissed. I was, oh, they reject me, the big man on campus, the big Dan. And then I got a little perspective. Admittedly, that lit a fire under my butt to get even more of my own work, to do even more of my own things. Uh, but once I got some perspective, that was when I found out, oh, they kind of had a point. The funny thing is, my current agent that I'm with, I had actually reached out to before, and he turned me down, and he was kind of right to do so. At the time, I didn't have a lot more than just like a handful of like student films and maybe a handful of indie work. So part of what agents like to see is that you've put in the work to grow on your own. So that way they're not working from the ground up.
How do you do that though?
That is a lot of that is going to be if you're lucky like I was, you live in a place that has a lot of has a lot of colleges and
Okay.
a good indie scene. Like it's not that student films are, they're poo poo, we don't work on them. And agencies you've been putting in the work and booking nonstop and you have footage from them. And the other one is also a lot of if you find more indie work. Uh,
Okay.
they're all weighted differently. If you've somehow found a way to get onto a union set without an agent, they'll want to hire you immediately.
Wow.
So it's like that, It's a lot of finding your own work, working as a freelancer to start, and then when you finally get there, being able to go up to them and they go, "Oh, very well. You look very hireable."
Now I know we kind of touched on this part, but I'm gonna ask you a different question though. It might be related to being kind of cut out on a small part. I've heard stories where people shot a whole film and then during editing, they're just cut out completely.
Oh.
Has that ever happened to you?
I am beyond lucky that it has not happened to me, but I know some personal examples of people on my stunt team that were cut out, and some of it was justified in some cases and some of it was complete BS. Like one of the very common things unfortunately studios will do is they'll have a background actor, they'll give them a line on the day, and then they'll have someone record with their own microphone and everything to basically not have to pay the background guy
Yeah.
more that they because they technically recorded the line already. They just brought in a voice actor they could throw money at. Uh, I have been fortunate to not do that, and how you deal with that
Hopefully you never find out.
exactly.
Now
Oh
I know
boy,
a few years ago, you were in a Super Bowl commercial, and I kinda knew the commercial because you kinda post on Facebook what to look for, and I was watching it. And it was so hard to find you. If I didn't know what I was looking for, I would not be able to find you. Did you know when you did that Super Bowl commercial, you would probably just be in at a blink? Did you feel like they shot more of you and they kinda cut you out?
that one I went in both eyes open, knowing that I'd be on in a flash. Like I'd be
Okay.
there and gone. And it's common for that to be sort of the case, especially when you're starting out. A lot of the time, actors will start with background work where you have to like look in the crowd and like, oh, there I am.
Yeah, I was frame by frame to find you, but I found you.
Exactly, exactly.
So, was there ever a moment where you filmed longer than you expected to be in it longer, only to find out that you're in it for, like, 10 seconds?
Again, a lot of the films starting out, yeah, like excuse me, a lot of the indie work, especially because indie work can get very chaotic. Uh, there were times I felt like we were filming all day, and sometimes the film just died on the cutting room floor, or just my scene was taken out entirely. There was actually a time I had to put on like a full monster suit and like with claws and everything, do a fight scene. And I tune into the whole thing later to find out they cut the fight scene with the monster.
Man. You
Oh
still
well.
get paid for that though, right? You still get paid to be there?
Yeah, you get paid for the day,
Okay.
which is it softens the blow.
Yeah.
If you're on bigger productions and they have a full big scene with you that they don't put in the final cut, that actually can mess with your contract. Because
Okay.
like for example, when you the one you opened up with, Obliterated, uh, I got very, very fortunate to be there in stunts, and I also, because I was there in a stunt way and I showed up on camera, my face fully visible, I get residuals. I get a little bit of funding every year because people watch Obliterated and I'm in it. But there's very often where, especially in the stunts these days, they're trying to find ways to go, well, we didn't see your face, so you don't get residuals. Which, unfortunately, there's entire parts of stunts where the whole point is we don't see your face. If you're stunt doubling someone, if you're being a driver and have like the helmet on, yeah, we don't see your face because we're not supposed to. So it gets sticky, and that's a whole lot of why you gotta learn these small little bits to learn how to protect yourself or Make sure you go, I am very visible now.
Yeah. So, any advice for people who wish to pursue the acting career? Because it sounds like it's very cutthroat. Like, if there's a flaw about you, it's coming out and they're going to be blunt. Any advice for those people to prepare for that and not taking it so personally and do what you did? You took it as a learning opportunity to improve yourself more.
So the big advice, first is get used to hearing nothing and accepting that the silence is neither good nor bad. It just is. Uh, and then, especially starting out, don't look down on student films or indie films because that's where you cut your teeth. That's where you get your first credits, and that's where you learn a lot of set etiquette. What will make or break your career is how fun or tolerable or intolerable you are to work with. Like, it doesn't matter what you look like on screen. Be a good person. Don't be annoying. And learn the ins and outs of what's on set. Learn that in student films so you can have a nice, long career elsewhere. Beyond that, there's always a look for everyone. There's always a role for every look. If there's parts of you want to work on that you can, like your weight, give it a shot. If you want to stay the way you are, there are roles for that. If there's stuff you can't work on technically, there's still roles for that. There's roles for a 6'7" big guy who can act and fight. There's roles for a 5'2" mildly overweight person. There's roles for everything. Don't get brokenhearted because you didn't get the heartthrob role. Think of it as, I just need to align better. Or if grit your teeth and accept, I actually do want to work on my weight. It's a lot of being honest with yourself, accepting that almost none of the critiques you get are malicious, they are intended to help, and accepting that the silence will be there. And when you hear anything, good or bad, it's a boon. Those are my
That
big
is
three.
that's some great advice, Daniel. Is there any, besides Obliterated, is there any other films, television, movies that we can find you on right now?
So, right now, there's an indie film on Tubi called Bang Bang Betty. I play the right hand man. And there's I don't know if I can say the name of I can say the name of the film. I can't say what role. Coming out in September, the movie Him. There'll be a suspiciously big guy in there that may or may not be me.
Hmm. I'm gonna have to watch that show then.
Yeah.
Daniel, if people want to follow you, how can they do that?
Best place is to find me on Instagram at justanotherdan. And then if you really, really, really want to see what's new with me personally, find me on Facebook. Same title.
Awesome, Dan. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you very much for having me once again. It's always a pleasure.
And for myself, you can always find us at our very own website, which is www.breakingbullying.com. You can also reach out to us at our email address. If you have a story of your own bullying to share, or for whatever reason you want to get a hold of us, our email address is breakbullyinghere@gmail.com. If you're a victim of bullying and you don't know where to turn, there is online resources to help you. The first is the government's very own anti-bullying website, and the address is www.stopbullying.gov. If you have had thoughts of suicide or of self-harm, we implore you to stop. Reach out to the National Suicide Hotline. That number is very simple. It's 988. I'm Tim Flynn, and thank you for listening, and we will be back next week to continue the conversation to break the silence on bullying.